Last night I lay a-sleeping, there came a dream so fair. I stood in old Jerusalem, beside the temple there. I heard the children singing, and ever as they sang, I thought the voice of angels from heaven in answer rang. I thought the voice of angels from heaven in answer rang. Jerusalem, Jerusalem, lift up your gates and sing, Hosanna in the highest, Hosanna to your King. And once again the scene was changed, new earth there seemed to be. I saw the holy city beside the tideless sea. The light of God was on its streets, the gates were open wide, and all who would might enter, and no one was denied. No need of moon or stars by night, or sun to shine by day. It was the new Jerusalem that would not pass away. It was the new Jerusalem that would not pass away. Jerusalem, Jerusalem, sing for the night is o'er. Hosanna in the highest, Hosanna forevermore. Hosanna in the highest, Hosanna forevermore.
Good morning, family members and friends. Thank you for welcome, and thank you for coming and joining together with the family this morning as we remember a very special mum and nana and auntie and friend, someone that's touched all of our lives. Wayne and Kathy, Dean and Leonie, Royden and Andrea, your children, your grandchildren, all of your families, welcome. And thank you for giving us this opportunity to all share together with you as we remember, as we celebrate, and as we mourn. You've lost someone very special, and so have we. I'd also like to welcome those that are joining us on the live stream. I know we've got some family members in New Zealand. Noeleen's sister, Val and Doug Cole, and their children, Bryce and Marliese and their families, welcome, and we're glad that you can be part of our celebration today also. Also, her brother Don and his family over in the Sunshine Coast will be joining us, and others in New Zealand and other parts of the world. Noeleen, I'm not sure what your memories are, but my memories are of a compassionate, a loyal, a consistent, a friendly person. When I think of her, I always see someone who was full of life, always on the go. She always had a big smile on her face, even when things were difficult. Is that the truth? That's the way I remember her. She was a strong, resilient lady. She was a committed Christian, and she was a faithful wife and mother, worked and served alongside Colin, her husband, and supported him and her family wherever you lived, wherever you went, all the different ups and downs and circumstances of life. My name is Roger Millist. I first met Noeleen and Colin and their family in my very first year as a minister in New Zealand. I was appointed as a youth pastor in Palmerston North, and they were living in Auckland at the time. Noeleen's sister Val was there in Palmerston North and got to know the family very well. And you know, it's a small world, because I mentioned to my sisters about Noeleen's passing, and I got a message from my sister Ida yesterday, and she said, well, when I was at Longburn College, which is a Seventh-day Adventist tertiary college in New Zealand, she said, when I was there in 1957 and 58, that was when I first met Noeleen, and she and her sister and brother were day students and would come out to Longburn every day. And then just before you all moved here to Perth, my same sister Ida was working in the Treasury area of the Seventh-day Adventist head office for the North Island of New Zealand. And she and Noeleen worked together there up until the time that you all moved here to Perth. So small world, isn't it? And it's my privilege to be able to share with you and be part of this celebration today. Each of us are here because Noeleen's life has touched our lives in all manner of different ways. Today's a day of mixed feelings. I know for the family there is a sense of relief, because the last few years for Mum were not easy. And it wasn't easy for you as family members, supporting her and seeing her frustrations and seeing her not able to do the things that she had always enjoyed doing. And so it's a relief in a sense that there is no more of that frustration, no more of the pain and the suffering that she went through. But it's also a day of sadness, because Noeleen, Mum, Nana, Grandma, is no longer with us. We can't see that big smile anymore. We can't share with her. But today, as family, you're going to share your stories, your memories, your thoughts, your feelings with us. And as you do that, it's my wish that somehow our time together will just ease a little bit that sense of lostness and emptiness that you're feeling now, that sense of grief, and that you'll be helped as tomorrow you start the rest of your life without Mum, without Nana, without Grandma. To tell stories to hear stories from. But in time you will face each day in your future with purpose and optimism and hope and purpose. And that's what Mum would want for you. That's how she lived. That's how she brought all of you up. That's the way she lived and the way that she encouraged each of us who knew her to live. Someone wisely said, what matters most, or what matters last, matters most. And those of you who held Mum's hand in those last hours and moments of her life, you know what mattered most to her. She recognised you. She called you by name. Her God and you, her family, were what meant everything to her. I'd like to invite you to just bow your heads as we invite God's presence with us this morning. Father in heaven, we come this morning with mixed feelings. We come with our sorrow and our emptiness. We come with our sadness. We come with our memories, our thoughts. And we thank you for the life of Noeleen. We thank you for her love. We thank you for her kindness, her compassion, her thoughtfulness. We thank you for the positive way that she lived her life, the faithfulness that she had in remaining true to her faith and trust in you, and her faithfulness to her family and to her friends. We feel for each family member here this morning, but only you, God, know exactly what each one is thinking and feeling at this moment. And so we invite you by your Spirit to be present with us here and to bring comfort, to bring encouragement, to bring hope to each person, each family member, each friend gathered here today is my prayer. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thanks everyone for coming. I am the second twin. This was an important fact in life sometimes. And Mum used to always dress us in the same clothes. I have tried so hard to get one of these made for Wayne, but he hates it. This is the last article of clothing that Mum made for me. She probably wondered why in the world I wanted it made, but anyway, that's it. This is why I'm wearing it, so I like it. Scripture reading today, Ecclesiastes 3. There is a time for everything, a season for every activity under the heavens. Mum almost squeezed everything in for us. She did a really good job in our childhood. We did heaps of activities, heaps of orchiding, birding. Oh, it was amazing. We had a really good life. A time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to tear down and a time to build, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance. Thanks, Mum.
One thing that some of you will be aware of, but some of you may not be aware of, was that Noeleen was quite the singer. And she loved music and she loved singing and often sang at weddings and churches and all sorts of special events and social events. And one of her favourites was this song, "His eye is on the sparrow and I know he watches me." And so I'd like to invite you all, if you are able, to stand and join as we sing together this hymn.
me. Let not your heart be troubled. Send a word I hear. Rest on his goodness. I lose my doubts and fears. Though the path he leadeth, but one step may I see. His eyes are on the sparrow, and I know he watches me. His eyes are on the sparrow, and I know he watches me. I am tempted when souls increase to straying, my hope within me dies. I closer to him, from care he sets me free. His eyes, the sparrow, and I know he watches me. His eyes on the sparrow, and I know he watches me. And eyes on the sparrow, and I know he watches me. His eyes on the sparrow, and I know he watches me.
Good morning. I'm Andrea, youngest child and daughter of Noeleen. I've tasked myself with condensing a life of 86 years into a few minutes. Thank you all for coming today to celebrate the life of my mother, Noeleen McfFaull. To those that can't be here and are watching the live stream, thank you and welcome. Noeleen was born on January the 10th, 1940 in Wanganui, New Zealand to Gladys and Edward Fairclough. She was the eldest child of three. Having a brother, Don, in Queensland and sister Val in New Zealand. As was common at the time, the family didn't have a lot of money, but there was always a veggie garden to feed the family, and Mum always loved her veggies. The mode of transport for the family was by push bike, Mum on the crossbar of her father's bike, Don on the back carrier. Val was on their mum's bike from the age of 6 months. Not sure where, but I'm sure there were no helmets or safety harnesses involved. Mum was 13 when they got their first car. On Mum's first day of school, Grandma rode her there on the bike, but after that she was expected to take the bus. If she cried, she would have the penny given to her taken away so that she would not be able to buy a treat at school. Mum was a good student and got good grades. She was dux of the school in her final year. She enjoyed learning, but not having the financial means to further her education, she entered into the world of employment. She worked in a number of jobs as a seamstress and doing various office roles. Excuse me. Mum's father taught her to knit when she was 4 years old using 4-inch nails and string. She excelled at needlework and could be found at recess and lunchtime knitting dolls' clothes. She kept these skills almost to the end. She could make anything. I could show her a picture of a jumper I liked and she would replicate it in a week or less. Sewing was another skill she possessed. You wouldn't believe the outfits she would make and dress me up in for church. All the other days I'd be wearing my brother's hand-me-downs. Her father was tough on her. Embroidery had to be as neat on the back as it was on the front. Needless to say, it wasn't something she enjoyed doing. Mum was 7 years old when the family joined the Seventh-day Adventist Church, which she followed for the rest of her life. The church gave us a wonderful community and friends. I have so many happy memories. From the Papakura Church, with the Aitchisons, Bettys and Alice families. Holidays at Wongamata, picking feijoas. Bottling days, working bees, big camp, to name but a few. These people were like chosen family. Hey, look at that. Thanks, Dad. Mum met our father Colin through the church and they married in October 1962. Dad's work was very transient and they moved a ridiculous amount of times in the early years of the marriage. In 1964, they welcomed twin boys, Wayne and Dean, into their nest. As you can imagine, these two lads kept her busy for the next 5 years. In 1969, once these two unruly creatures were sent to school, and following a 2-day gruelling labour, out popped Royden. Worth every one of those 48 hours, he was oh so easy to look after, being that he was just one. Not satisfied with 3 boys, along came the prize, me, in 1971. Not sure if it was the ultimate perfection or the 10 pounds of me that put a halt to the childbearing years. When we were all finally in school, Mum started working in the office of the Balmoral primary school we attended. I loved having her there nearby. Besides office work, Mum also helped out in the classrooms at times as an assistant. In 1980, Colin was asked to transfer to Perth for work. I can still remember them telling us. I had no clue where Perth was, but Africa came to mind. Now, we all know about the friendly rivalry between New Zealand and Australia. Well, we were led to believe that Australia was full of criminals. It was also always hot and snakes were rampant. We gave away all our pets and belongings except for 1 suitcase each. We were able to travel light as we were under the impression we would not be needing any warm clothing. We flew into Melbourne in January 1981 and I can still remember looking out the plane window and seeing how brown everything was. Dad purchased a car and we drove to Adelaide where we stayed with a friend for a couple of weeks before driving to Perth. All 6 of us in the Holden with no aircon, Mum and Dad taking it in shifts to drive. All the food was warm. Picture warm sanitarium salad loaf on Sayo crackers with warm orange juice. The heat was confirmed until a trip to Kalgoorlie with freezing temperatures. Needless to say, Mum started knitting quick smart, and before you could say knit one, purl one, we were all wearing matching cable knit jerseys. On arrival to Perth, we stayed at the campground in Maida Vale until purchasing a house in Lesmurdie. The twins could cycle to Carmel College and Royden and I would catch the bus to the Big Park School. The move to Australia was particularly hard on Mum, leaving all the community and family support she had and starting over. She began working at the sanitarium in Victoria Park when they were still packing dried fruits, etc. Other jobs she held during this time was driving the school bus for Carmel College and as a secretary personal assistant to Fred Sally, who imported Japanese cars. Buying the home in Lesmurdie meant joining the Bickley Seventh-day Adventist Church. Many of these members became wonderful supportive friends to Mum and Dad throughout the years, as did the neighbours on Wayuna Crescent. Thank you all. In 1991, Dad was transferred to Melbourne. They rented out the Lesmurdie house. This was another difficult move for Mum, as 3 of her 4 children were still in Perth. They stayed in Melbourne for about 18 months before Dad was asked to move to Fiji. That was a hard no from Mum, so they returned to Perth and Dad started looking for work, eventually being employed by the sanitarium, driving trucks until his diagnosis of prostate cancer at near retirement age. Retirement didn't quite work out as they would have planned. Dad's radiation treatment, followed by Alzheimer's diagnosis, kept them not too far from home. They did, however, get in a couple of wonderful holidays, travelling around New Zealand and WA with Val and Doug. Dad's deteriorating health saw him placed in Sherwin Lodge. For the last few years of his life. passing away in June 2021 with Mum by his side. A year later, in June 2022, Mum was driving down Roe Highway in heavy rain and crashed into a power pole at speed. From this accident, she sustained a brain injury and never returned to her baseline. She also never returned home and moved into Sherwin Lodge. The move over to the new facility saw Mum leading the pack with her walking frame, singing Bukari Kariana with Anna, one of the staff. She was soon overtaken by the wheelchairs. The day before Mum passed away, Anna came into her room and sang the same song to her, which is a precious memory I will always keep. We really appreciate the care both Mum and Dad received whilst living here. Mum took singing lessons as a child and would come home and teach her sister Val what she had learnt. She performed songs at churches, weddings and social events. One of her favourites to sing was The Holy City. Music is magical. Despite forgetting so many things, I recorded her singing the entire song word for word last year. Mum loved to feed people and was well known for her slices and biscuits. Lizzie and I have attempted to replicate her famous caramel slice, which you're welcome to sample after. I hope we've done it justice. Mum was very generous with her time and money. She would drive me at 5 a.m. from Les Murdy to Somerset Pool in Vic Park so I could swim before school, just because it made me happy. Gift giving was her love language, and the more the better in her eyes. She loved to give gifts. She was super organised and would have them wrapped, labelled and catalogued a year in advance. She was thoughtful. Remembering the little details, like which fork was my favourite and making sure it was always at my place on the table. She would put my pyjamas under a hot water bottle so they'd be warm when I came home after working a late shift in winter. She crocheted, knitted and sewed hundreds of items for different charities over the years. Mum loved her role as grandmother to her 9 grandchildren, Elizabeth, Brendan, Nicholas, Sam, Joel, Aidan, Kristen, Anna and Jake, and later great-grandmother to Nikolai, Trevor, Declan and Isabella. Mum, you are many things to many people, and we thank you. Sorry. You brought me into this world and it was an honour to be with you. When you took your last breath, you were loved and will always be in our hearts. Rest in peace, Mama.
I see trees of green.
They told me because I was first out, I have to be first up, but being the first twin. But that means Dean's up again in 15 minutes, and you'll have to wait a couple of years for the others. But I thank you, Andrea, for that. Thought that I'd be more prepared. So we want to celebrate Mum's life, right? To share happy memories that bring us together, and to honestly acknowledge the challenges that she faced throughout the years. I think it's important to remember her this way, and I'll explain why in a second. A complete person reflects the truth that I think we can all gain hope from. People are complicated. You don't need to have everything perfect to build something meaningful. You can struggle and still thrive. You can face deep darkness as Mum did with depression that shattered her for most of her life. She covered it well. The family saw the family and supported her. You can still create light for others. That's what I want to share today. She raised 3 wonderful children and me. Number 4, first one out. We were her world. Always. Family was her success. It's what she embraced. She didn't care about climbing the corporate ladder. She didn't care about all of those other things that are so important in the world today. She cared about her family. It's easy to forget that sometimes when you're a child and you didn't get what you wanted or whatever else, but that's who she was. She largely created me as a person. Deep curiosity. I am so curious. Curiosity killed the cat, and it's a wonder it hasn't killed me. And we'll share a bit more about that. She created a deep belief in me that I could do anything. And largely in my lifetime I've tried lots of things. That willingness to try things came from Mum. She just believed that we could. She loved nature, and that's... Sorry, my whole thing's just fallen apart on me here. She loved nature, and she taught us that, and I think all of us have gained that same love for nature. She taught me creativity. Try things, do things. Failure didn't mean failure. It meant you tried something and it didn't quite work. Try again. Mum was generous. You've heard that already from Andrea, and look at some of the stuff here. That abomination that Dean was wearing before. I'd give anything to not have one of those. Thank you, Mum. I had to move states to make sure she didn't knit me one. But she created so many things. When we were young, we'd have these matching jumpers that cost hundreds of dollars today, and we just go, I don't want to look like him. Kids, eh? They were awesome. She could just create it just like that. I remember she bought us a sewing machine, so I learned to sew, and I learned to knit not on nails. I had knitting needles because the times had moved on, and they were available when I was young. And I learned to knit. So we had the sewing machine, and she'd bring home scraps of fabric, rags, and we'd make blankets for people in countries that couldn't afford them and send them away. Knit slippers. I'm not sure anyone ever was able to wear the slippers that I knitted because they didn't really look like slippers. They were abominations too. But we did it together as a family. We made blankets. It was one of those hand sewing machines. And recently I was at an antiques fair, and there was a black one. Remember that ours was pink. It was this horrible fuchsia pink, and I think it was a Singer. And I saw this sewing machine there in its little wooden box. Oh, I've got to have that. It sits proudly in our house at home in our wall unit, because it reminds me of those times when we'd be cranking away, feeding rags through and turning out patchwork blankets. So she was very generous. She was generous with her time. Those in New Zealand, I hope that you're logged on and hearing this. I remember going and picking tomatoes at Moss and Darwin Ellis's place, and they were tomato farmers, and so the harvest would come in, and sometimes there wasn't enough people, and Mum would volunteer the family to go and help, so we'd go and spend all day on a Sunday picking tomatoes and putting them in that cool thing that sizes them all and all that, and helping out to make sure that the harvest didn't go to waste. I remember painting units for Tom and Betty Aitchison, and I think you're online, welcome. And it's where I learned to paint, and also how to put putty in windows. You know how it used to have the glass windows or glazing windows? Uncle Tom would teach us that, and Mum would be right there driving us forward to help out a friend who needed it because they were on a timeline. We didn't always have good cars those days. We had some pretty old bangers, actually. We had this old Austin. It was green. It's just Dean and I in those days. So Roy and Andrea missed out on this one, and the fuel pump wouldn't work properly. Every now and then it'd just stop. You'd be driving along and suddenly and the car would stop. So Dean and I would take turns sitting in the footwell on the passenger side. Seatbelts be damned. I don't think we had seatbelts in those days, with a hammer, because the fuel pump was just through the firewall, and when the car started to choke and hesitate, Mum would say, "Hit it now, son, hit it now," and whoever was down there would be whacking on the firewall, and the fuel pump would kick on again, and off we'd go, and then we'd take turns. "It's your turn, Dean." "No, it's not, I'm getting car sick." Can't forget that one. Dad loved cars. He was a motor mechanic, and he looked after them. Mum just liked driving them fast. She got a Morris Oxford, I remember, and she was, again, generous with her time. She gave herself to youth leadership, so she was the youth leader for the church at Papakura, and so she'd be there on Friday night, and she'd doing whatever it is youth leaders did back then, and then you'd hear her coming home, and I remember on a still night you could hear her coming down Cleveland Road. Oh, she's missed the corner again. Then you'd hear the 3-point turn, and then she'd come back and up our road to home. She was a speed freak. She's really quite a demon. Remember, she went driving with Royd once, and she did a 360 accidentally, and he's standing on the seat next to her. Kids did at those days, so when he didn't go through the windshield, straight into the ditch, into the blackberries. And so she got out and she looked around, no real damage to be seen, so she managed to get out of the ditch somehow, I don't know, and then drove into Papakura to do her shopping. When she got out and round to the boot, and there's about 15 metres of blackberry stuck on the bumper. She's dragged about 6 kilometres into town. She kicked it off and went and parked somewhere else. And Royd allegedly standing on the seat next to him, "Why did we go in the bushes, Mum?" It's a good question, and we still don't have an answer for that one. One thing that Mum brought to us, we were not naughty as children. That's amazing, isn't it? We were so good. We were mischievous. We were just downright naughty, I think, sometimes. But she used this a number of times. I remember we were lived on the campground, on a convention centre, a bit like Maida Vale, for those of you who know that one. So there's all huts around and put tents up for conventions and things. And so we'd follow the electrician around. We were just little fellas, like 7 or 8. We'd watch him do the wiring and all that. So we knew how to do this. So we decided the cubby house under the hedge needs lights. So we went and found some wire, and we wired it up, and we hid the wire in the grass. And we knew it needed a plug on the end, but we didn't know where to find one, so we made this plug with lots of insulation tape. We pushed it into the plug. We stood back with a stick, and we turned it on, and it just big fireball comes out of the fuse, the switch, blows the fuse box completely. Dad's putting new fuses in later that day. We just ran off, of course, as we always did, and hid. And then about a week later, Dad's large motor mower found the wires, and the wires found the motor mower, and it was a match made in heaven. It took about a week for him to cut the wire out with snippers, and he'd be standing there like this. And Mum would be going, "They're just mischievous. Don't punish them." She had a way about her. She didn't punish you. She thought a lesson could be learned without. I remember blowing up a small incendiary device in the shed one day, and of course I beat the fire out with a hessian sack and then ran off again and hid. And when I came back, Mum goes, "Where have you been?" "Oh, nowhere, Mum." She says, instead of saying, "Don't lie to me, you nasty little child," she says, "Why don't you go into the bathroom and have a good look in the mirror and come back and tell me the truth?" So I go in. I've got no hair on the side of my head. My eyebrow is gone. And I'm going, "Nothing, Mum." And she just goes, "Don't do it again." So I was much more careful next time I blew something up. She didn't have a lot of safety standards. We could talk her into almost anything. So I remember we were going to go on a snow trip. And so "Mum, can we make sleds?" "Yeah, you can make sleds." So we're off raiding wood from somewhere. There's always scrap wood around the convention centre. And we made these sleds, and then we go, "It's not really got any slopes around this place, so how do we use them?" So, "Hey, Mum, can you tow us behind the car?" "Oh, yeah, I reckon I can." Just like, I wouldn't do this today, I don't think, but she did. So we'd tie on a sled behind it, get on it, lay down, and fly off. And she'd say, "Oh, we're doing 45, and go faster, Mum." Go, oh God. Anyway, that wasn't enough. So then we said, "Well, there's three of us, and we kind of all want to go together." So there's another guy called Seth Rankin. I don't know if people in New Zealand watching this remember him, and he was staying at the convention centre at that stage with us, so at the campground. So we got 3 sleds. We're ready to go now. So we figured if we tie them all together at the same length of rope, that's going to be a real problem. So we tied them one behind the other. No guidance from Mum at all on this. She's just sitting in the car revving, ready to go. So off we go. We do a looper of the campground, and it's time to come home now. Dad was the caretaker at the time, and he treasured his begonias. Remember the begonias? And his rose bushes down the main driveway. So this driveway is quite long, going down into the campground. And then the house where we lived is right at the entrance. So do the loop of the campground and then back into the main driveway, down the drive, 1, 2, 3 sleds. There must be 25 metres of rope out there. So she just turns into the driveway, but she doesn't think for a minute that the rope will go not in the same curve that she did. So I remember I was at the front and I ducked right down, and the first rose bush missed me, and Dean got a scratching, and Seth's got 3 rose bushes on him at the back. And I remember Mum just laughing and picking them off and then putting them back in the ground so that Dad wouldn't notice. And I'm going, how can you think he's not going to notice? They are going to die. We were mischievous. She read to us a lot. She gave us a thirst for learning. The Adventures of Robin Hood was a favourite. I certainly remember that. She played with us a lot. She always had time. I remember one day we were having a pillow fight on a Sunday morning, and we were all in the main bedroom, and I think Dean was sort of sitting up against the backboard of the bed, and Mum and I are clubbing away at each other with pillows. And she took a step and she tripped over Dean's leg and dived out the window. Only trouble was the window was closed, and so she cut herself, got about 13 stitches up her arm, and off to hospital we go and get her all stitched up. It didn't stop her from playing with us. She still did the same things with us that she'd done before. That was just a speed bump in the road. So in conclusion, I just want to say thanks for the memories, Mum. Thanks for giving me a great childhood. Thanks for making me who I am. I'm sad that you're gone. Peace.
Just want to say thank you, Nan. You did enough. You understood me and the pain that I was going through without needing to know any of the details. You and Pop kept me grounded when all that was changing in my world felt like chaos. For about 6 months, you and Pop were the only person I saw. I isolated myself, and you just understood. There was always that sort of understanding between us. We could just be together. And it worked to sort of heal the pain and help me progress, get to the point where now I've got a loving wife. It's going to be hard without you as a support, and I'll miss all the good things we used to do. My favourite memories, going back as far as I can remember, would be diving and splashing around in the pool in the backyard when you used to have the above ground pool there. Of course, unwrapping presents Christmas morning and all the other family events that you hosted and cooked for. The sneaky play school on TV after you looked after us. We didn't have a TV at home, so we got to be spoilt. the head tickles, the back scratches, all the cookies and ice creams you could tempt us with, building pillow forts on the couch. Yeah, I'll miss just sitting with you, watching TV. Rubbing your cold feet and your sore knees, just holding your hand, listening to the daily concerns of you and Pop, so different to what I was experiencing, just brought me back to earth, helped to stabilise my life. You gave us all life and the best opportunities you could under the circumstances. You did enough, Nan. Rest well.
Hello everyone, thanks very much for coming. And I've got a couple of other people I wanted to thank as well. You just have a look at me, get me short lookers on here. So, as again, I say thanks for coming and showing your support for us and paying your respects to Mum. I really appreciate it. And all those in New Zealand, wish you were here so we could give you all a big hug. Thinking of you and know you want to be here but can't. I'd also like to start to thank some of the staff, especially Anna, who's been absolutely amazing with Mum and Dad. Like Andrea mentioned about coming over, singing that song and so forth, and she used to play games with them as well, and the ball would stop on Mum or whatever, and she'd have to sing that song, and just hearing her at the end there was just, yeah, a bit too much, and she's going to help lead that as Mum goes out on the way out, so she's going to sing for us, so thanks again. You've really made both her and Dad's time here special. Also Beauty, who isn't here any longer, but she did a lot for them too. Wayne mentioned about Mum's safety factors, or lack of them, and I remember she taught us how to drive. I was about 12 years old, I think, at the time, out the bush, and I think you're ready to drive into Kalamunda, son. Let's go and get some milk. So in we hopped and off we went until Dad found out, and it's like, well, he's quite tall. It should be okay. What about pesky things like insurance and whatever? And Gary, my best friend, he mentioned that she taught him to drive out the bush too, but he was a couple of years older, so that was pretty good. It was a lot safer until he backed into something. But they were steel bumpers then, and that was fine. There was no real harm done. I remember also, she just believed in us, like Wayne said. She just had our backs. Annie mentioned that she struggled, and she really did. And unfortunately, in those days, you didn't really get help for yourself. You just muddled through. So we've all had to get help. But hey, we're here, and we loved her, and she loved us, and it was enough. It was enough. The other thing that we used to spend a lot of time doing was camping. They mentioned how she liked birds and orchids and all that, so myself and Gary especially used to trick her into taking us to Dryandra, and at that stage we had a licence to trap little marsupials and things, so if we were cunning and we managed to catch one, we had to take it back in 2 weeks' time. So we had this rolling back every 2 weeks sort of thing, and Dad kind of cottoned onto it, but Mum never did. She was always happy to take us, and we'd have her out there spotlighting until like 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning. Just one more track. All right, we're going home now? Yeah, we're going home. It's sort of that way, but we're going home. So yeah, and she never minded, and she always was ready in 2 weeks' time to go again. Like they said, they could knit anything. So we did a dive course. Oh, whoop, there goes Andrea. So that's Andrea and her little dog. So yeah, we did a dive course. So I got this pink BCD because it was cheap, it was on special, nobody wanted it. So anyway, so she knitted me there we are. Had a video camera and lights and whatever, but she could just knit anything. What else have we got here? I guess one of the other things I remember too is at school, someone got their house broken into or whatever, and I for some reason it just triggered something, and I was really scared to go to sleep at night for about a week or so. I just thought someone was going to break in or something, I don't know. And I remember her sitting on the end of my bed, just, I'll just stay here till you go to sleep, it's okay. She did. So, in the end, we got to return the favour and hold her hand while she went to sleep for the last time. That's it.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue and clouds of white, the bright blessed day, the dark sacred night. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear babies cry, I watch them grow. They learn much more than I never knew. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful world. You find me, oh, somewhere And the dream that you did to, oh why can't oh, someday I wish upon a star, wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where trouble melts like a lemon drops high above the chimney top. That's where you find me, oh, somewhere over the rainbow, way up high. And the dreams that you dare to, why, oh why can't
Edelweiss, every morning you greet me, small and white, clean and bright, you look happy to meet me. Blossom of snow, may you bloom and grow forever. Edelweiss, Edelweiss, bless my homeland forever. Edelweiss, Edelweiss.
Small and white, clean and bright, you look happy to meet me. Blossom of snow, may you bloom and grow forever. Edelweiss, Edelweiss, bless my homeland
Thank you, Brendan, for putting those photos together and for putting the whole PowerPoint together. Thank you, Andrea, for sharing your memories, your tears, your emotion. Thank you, Wayne, for painting a a very realistic picture of your mum. Someone that wasn't only special to you and your family, but to all of us who knew her. Thank you, Royden, for sharing your feelings and your thoughts. And thank you, Dean, for sharing your special coat, but more importantly for sharing that scripture reading. And as the family have shared with us, we've been reminded that there is a time for everything. And today has been a time of laughter, a time of smiles, a time of remembering some of the not so safe things. It's been a time of tears and grief and sadness and recognising the huge loss that has been. You've painted a beautiful picture of your mum. Noeleen was a can-do person. She was practical, she was compassionate, she had many talents, a lot of creativity, much of which has been carried on through the generations. I don't think can't was in your mum's vocabulary. Is that a fair comment? As you've shared with us, you've reminded us that life had its challenges. For Noeleen, as it does for each of us in different ways, there were difficult times, but wherever she was and whatever she did, whatever the circumstances she found herself in, she determined to make the best of it, to make a positive contribution to you, her family, to her community, her church, her neighbours, a number of whom are here with us today, and thank you for that. Noeleen grew up in a Christian home, and as a young person in her youth, she made a commitment, a decision that she was going to believe in and trust God, trust what he says in what we call the Bible, the Christian scriptures, and she did that, as the family has shared throughout her life. Was she perfect? Did she never make a mistake? I think we've already heard the answer to that, and it's like all of us, it's a resounding no. But what she did know was that when God said, or when Jesus said, that God loved her and loved every human being, she believed it. And when he said that that's why he came 2,000 years ago, to show us that he cared about people, people who were good people, people who weren't good people, people who believed in mischief and people who believed in troubled childhoods. She believed it. And she believed what he promised, that if she believed in him, she would not perish. She may one day sleep, as she is now doing, but she would not perish. It would not be the end. There would be a future life to look forward to. And when Jesus said that he was life, and he was resurrection, and demonstrated it by bringing people back to life who had died. Some of them had been dead for several days and in their graves. She believed that, and she looked forward to a day when she would be reunited with her family, with her friends, with Colin, with her parents, with all who also put their faith, their trust, made Jesus, his life, what he said, what he did, the measure and the standard for the choices that they made in life. And she eagerly anticipated a day when, just as Jesus 2,000 years ago intervened and split time in two, when he would again intervene in human history. And she looked forward to that day because Jesus said and promised that that's when she would be reunited with family and with friends, and she looked forward to that. She looked forward to what the last closing paragraphs of the Bible describe this way. I saw a new heaven and a new earth. God himself will wipe away the tears from your eyes. There will be no more death or mourning or pain, no more funerals. Until that day, Noeleen rests, or as the Bible likes to use the term, sleeps. Unaware, not frustrated by the things that she couldn't do for the last few years, unaware of the ups and downs that face every one of us in our lives. But that's not the end of her story. We are sad, we are grieving, we are missing her. But there is hope. Let me just share a couple of sentences of how the Bible describes what will happen to people like Noeleen. I don't want you to be ignorant or uninformed about those who are asleep, those who have died, so that you will not grieve as others that have no hope. Jesus himself will come down from heaven with a commanding shout, with the voice of the archangel and with the trumpet call of God. And those who died believing in Jesus, you've heard that that's who Noeleen was. That's what she did. Will rise from their graves. Then we, who are still alive and remain on the earth, will be caught up in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air. Then we will be with Jesus forever. So encourage each other with these words. To each of you today, Jesus would say, and again I quote some words of Scripture, blessed is Noeleen. She has died believing in Jesus. She now rests from her struggles, from all that life threw at her, but we still remember her, all she was and all she did. I invite you just to reflect and share with yourself your own memories just for a moment, and then we're going to give you an opportunity to do something special. You have heard how Noeleen loved to knit things. And so the family have been busy doing some knitting. Where have you put them? Oh, they're right here. And so we're going to give you the family first of all, and then all of you who wish the opportunity to come down to file past the casket and just pay your last respects to Noeleen. And Andrea and her family have been busy, and they've knitted all these lovely little knitted hearts. No doubt with wool that Mum had left over for part anyhow. And so I'd just like to invite the family members now to come down and to place one of these little hearts on the casket. Thank you.
Solo sogno all'orizzonte mancano le parole. Sì, lo so che non c'è luce in una stanza quando manca il sole. Se non ci sei tu con me, sì. Le finestre mostrar tutto il mio cuore che è acceso. Chiudi dentro me la luce che incontrato per strada. Time to say goodbye. Paesi che non ho mai veduto e vissuto con te. Adesso sì li vivrò con te. Partirò su navi per mari che io lo so non esistono più. It's time to say goodbye.
Quando sei lontana sogno all'orizzonte e manca le parole. E io sì lo so che sei con me, con me. Tu mia luna, tu sei qui con me. Mio sole, tu sei qui con me, con me, con me, con me. Time to say goodbye. Paesi che non ho mai veduto e vissuto con te. Adesso sì li vivrò con te. Partirò su navi per mari che io lo so non esistono più. Con te io li rivivrò, con te partirò su navi per mari che io lo so non esistono più. Con te io li rivivrò, con te partirò.
Just invite you to bow your heads. Father in heaven, we pause just a moment longer to thank you for Noeleen. Mum, Nana, Grandma, sister, auntie, friend. Thank you for all that she has done for each and every one of us and all that she means to each and every one of us today. God, you have allowed Noeleen to rest, to go to her rest, free from the frustrations, from the difficulties, the things that she couldn't do, the ill health, the inability to run and jump and do the things that she used to do with her family. And so we now lovingly commit her into your hands, dust to dust, ashes to ashes, knowing that you will mark her final resting place. And we do it as we have just reminded ourselves this morning, in that sure and certain hope that one day you will intervene in human history again and raise her back to life, eternal life, youth that never ends, life and vivacity and love that has no end. Until that day, I ask that your comfort, your encouragement, your strength, and your guidance will be with each family member and with every person gathered here and listening wherever they are, is my prayer in Jesus' name. Amen. Just a couple of announcements. Thank you each one for being here today and supporting the family members. Noeleen will be privately cremated following this service. Thank you to Kristen and the team from Simplicity Funerals, and invite you to come forward now. And after we escort Noeleen away from the property here, you are all invited to join with the family over in the building in that direction, in the canning room, and there will be some refreshments there. There'll be some more photos for you to see and an opportunity to mingle and share all the stories we didn't have time for today. Thank you all very much.
Fiti atukuine marino anae eine hoki mara kamatea tero Tuhi takurita, tuku atu takirini, kia kiti tuiri, raru raru